but now I understand like what I'm lacking towards, so what I need to aim towards after this. So I think that will be like a focused approach. It will focus me more towards whatever the end goal is. So that in that context, I think it was really helpful for me.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is the next video in the mock interview series with UiPath Aspirant. For the people who are looking this series for the first time, in this series, I am taking mock interview for candidate based on their resume, their experience and their skill set. Please note that this is just a mock interview. It is not for any client, any customer or any of the job opportunities. The format of the mock interview is absolutely simple. The candidate send me the resume, I set up some time, I take the mock interview and all the confidential details such as the name, the company name, the project information, everything remains confidential with me. Even the name which you see in the mock interview is changed. So you do not have to worry about any of the details. Once I receive the interview, I hide the details, we take the interview. At the end, I guide the candidate that what are the topics he needs to improve upon, and I also provide the feedback on the interview so that they can perform well in their live interview. In terms of cost, the cost of the mock interview is absolutely free for you. You don't have to pay me anything. You just have to send me your resume and we can set up a common time and I conduct a mock interview for you. In case your experience match this mock interview, you can go ahead and watch. But in case you are coming from a different experience, you can go back to the playlist. There we have a couple of mock interviews which are already taken. You can watch them, get some insight, and hopefully that should be helpful in your next interview. If you want to appear for such a mock interview, all you have to do is just drop me an email on the email ID which is available in the description. Having said that, let's get started with today's mock interview. Okay, so thank you Soham for joining this mock interview. Okay, let me give you a brief what is going to happen. So I have your resume in front of me. I would ask you a question based on your resume. You have to answer me. At the end of the interview, I'm going to tell you the topics or the answers which you have answered incorrectly, areas of improvement, and then I'll also guide you in the next steps in your RP journey, right?
All right.
So we can get started by having a quick introduction about yourself.
Sure. My name is Ari. I basically belong from Raebareli, Uttar Pradesh, and I have completed BTech in Electronics and Communication Engineering in the year of 2017. And after that, I began working as a software test engineer. And my RPA journey, talking about my RPA journey, it began in 2019. From My first job was in job abroad in RPA development, and from there I have switched two companies. Currently I'm working in Gurgaon, and total experience that I have in RPA is 5 years, and the total experience is 6.5 years. So extensively I have worked with the UiPath, but I have done support role for automation anywhere also. And other than RPA technologies, I have worked with the Python, a little bit of Python automation using scripting, and SAP scripting and SQL.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's my like professional background and technologies that I've worked
Okay.
with till now.
So in your 5 years experience, right?
Yeah.
How many processes have you automated end to end?
End to end, I have done around 15 processes.
15 processes, right? And
Yes.
have you done any certification that I don't see in your resume?
I did legacy certification. That was the free one.
Hmm.
It was also called advanced certification only.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I did it in 2018, I think,
Okay.
2019. Yeah, I
Okay.
did that particular certification. After that, I haven't done any certification. I have yet not gotten around to it yet. So
Okay.
I'm preparing for it currently, but
Hmm.
yeah, I
Okay.
haven't done it yet.
Okay, fine. So now I want you to talk about your latest or any one of the problem statement, right, which you have automated, right? What was the business actually facing the challenge which you have automated? Any one of these 15, right, you want to talk about?
Okay, so the latest one that I did was DO process. So DO process, the full form is delivery orders. So it is related to logistics and sales department. And the domain is logistics and sales. In this process, particularly, they were like receiving orders from the client side, and the business was creating delivery orders and dispatching the orders according to the delivery orders created. So this was the basic main use case. And talking about manual steps, it was involving we received the excel file,
Hmm.
and using that excel file, based on transactional basis, we created do orders, delivery orders. And then after creating the delivery orders, the summary file containing which delivery orders for which product, and which line or whichever client it was created, it was sent, that summary file was sent to the business side. So this was manual process. So this
Okay.
was it involved email automation.
Mm-hmm.
SAP application was used for creating the delivery orders.
Mm-hmm.
And then Excel was used for maintaining the library and data. And then email automation was again used for sending the email to the client side.
Okay. And looking at this I believe is a transactional automation, right? Where you are using
Yes.
RE
Yes.
framework. So what is the transaction item, right? You dispatcher performer you're using or you're not using?
So no, we were using data table only. We were using RPA RE framework only, but
Hmm.
we were using data table. We were not using, but we were working on transactional basis, even though we were using the data table.
Okay.
So yeah,
What is the
yes,
transaction item? It's a data row, I understand, but what exactly is
yes.
the information which is there, right, in the Excel? What
Okay.
information is there in the Excel?
So Excel contains all the parameters, all the values from the customer side, that
Hmm.
amount of stock for that which we need to create the delivery order. Then which client is it, or
Hmm.
which transaction code we need to use. So these
Okay.
are the details. These were the details that we were using
Mm.
to create the delivery orders.
And this Excel is coming via an email, correct?
Yes, yes,
Okay. Now a couple of questions, right? So first thing first, right? If I see the basic RE framework, right? It works with queues. So if I
yes,
have to work with data tables, right? Can you tell me at
yes.
a high level where are I need to update the RE framework, right? What all changes I need to do before working as a
Okay,
data table? Yeah.
so suppose if you are using data table,
Hmm.
so I in the init state,
Hmm.
we need to get the data in a data table. So we will use it in the first run. There is a block of code
Hmm.
where it is written if first run. So in that we need to read the data table, and from there, and the transaction item needs to be changed to data row. And that
Mhm.
it is, yeah. And data row, and the other, the collection, I don't remember
No, that's fine.
forgetting the
That's
particular
fine.
word. It is
Hmm.
need to be changed to data table
Hmm.
from from
Transaction data.
queue items. Yeah, transaction data to
Okay.
transaction data needs to be changed to data table. So these
Okay.
were the basic changes. And then in get transaction, yeah,
Hmm.
you have to disable few blocks of code there
Hmm.
also, which were associated with queue items. So
Okay.
in place of that, you can you use assign activity, and you can assign that particular transaction item as zero. I mean, calling that particular item and assigning it to transaction item, right? A data row. So
Understood.
that it gets equated and it works on transactional basis. So that's how we were working on. And yeah,
Okay.
so this is
Now,
how we work. And
so
yes.
when you say that you are reading this from an email, right? Which email server are you using to read this
So
Excel? It's
we were
Outlook.
using Outlook. We were using Outlook.
Okay. And
Yeah.
this also you are reading in the init, right? Now tell me one thing, right? So these email, right? How would the
Yes.
robot know whether I have to read the email from Aryan, whether I have to read the email from Mukesh, or I have to read from whom I need to read this
Yes.
email, right?
Okay, so there is a activity property called filter in get Outlook mail messages
Mm-hmm.
activity.
Mm-hmm.
In that particular text box, text field, you can enter, like, the filter content that is in square brackets,
Mm.
uh, and then, like, in double inverted comma, from, and then equals to whatever email or, like, the keyword you want to enter. Suppose if you're using from, suppose you want to check the sender of the email, then obviously you need to use the keyword from. If you want to use the subject, then you need to enter this, instead of from, you need to enter subject. So that's how we were using from. So there was a particular ID from that sent that particular email, so we were using
Am
from
I
property
going
in
to
that
hard
filter.
code these data, the email and the subject
No, no,
sender?
no, no.
Hmm.
So we were using that particular from keyword, and we were getting the data from the config file only,
Okay.
because that was, like, yeah, that was a constant value that can be, saved in the config.
Okay. Now, let's say some fine day, what happens, right? That you have written an automation saying that, hey, I would receive email from Mukesh and I forgot to send you an email. What happens
Okay.
to the process?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat
Okay,
that question?
so so the automation was supposed to read an email. The sender was Mukesh, right? And the
Okay.
automation did not receive. I forgot to send an email, right? Now the automation
Okay.
goes and the automation does not find any email
Yeah.
from Mukesh, right? Which was your
Okay.
sender, right? So what happens to the process now?
Okay, so if it doesn't, in that case, what it was doing, what the bot was doing, suppose it doesn't receive an email,
Hmm,
right? So it was sending an email to the, like, to us, or the, the person who was supporting at the time, particular time,
hmm.
like, this the mail has not been received. Please connect with this person. So that was, like, auto formatted mail. So that was sent
Would
from
it
the
be a
RPA
system
bot.
exception or a business exception?
That would be a business exception, obviously.
Okay, now you tell me you are reading this into the init,
Yes.
right?
No, no. Okay. So yeah, business exception. So it would go in, if any exception I'm facing, it would retry and it would go in end process. Yes,
So is it a
I
business
can.
or is it a system exception?
So that's a business exception only. So
Eh,
because the mail
Okay.
has not been arrived from the client side. So yeah.
So it's a business exception, right? But if you see your
Yes.
init state, right? The init
Yes.
state has no transition for business exception.
Yes. Yes. I
So
know.
how
I
does
know.
this work?
Okay. So
You understood the
uh,
question?
yes, yes, I understood the question. You are saying, like,
Yeah.
since there is no difference between, we have not assigned a branch for a business exception,
Yeah.
what will it do if it faces a business exception? Because
Hmm.
if it is an exception, it will go in the end
End
process
process,
state.
right?
So
So yeah.
yes, so how we are, so I, in this case, we only, like, since the email was not coming from the client side, so in that case, since, like, the starting was like that, so
Mm-hmm.
we were just, using the if activity, or in the within the try catch activity, and we were sending an email to the supporting person, so that,
Hmm.
he can contact that particular, and dropping an email to that person also, obviously the client side,
Hmm.
whoever is sending that mail. So that's why we designed it such a way, so that, that person can contact the client side. Okay, the file has not been received yet,
Hmm.
or the mail has not arrived. Can you please forward the file when I
Okay.
mean the data mail? Yeah. So it was like that.
Okay. Now I have a different question, right? So your
Yes.
automation is having how many transactions? Let's say there is an Excel, right? In that Excel, how many
Yes.
records or rows are there approximately?
Approximately. So it depends on day-to-day basis. Like,
Hmm.
suppose if it is a surge time, right?
Hmm.
Suppose it is a surge period. So at that time, it might be like 150, 200.
Okay.
Uh,
So
yeah.
let's take 100, right? So I'll assume that
Okay.
we have an 100 transaction for Monday. Okay, today
Okay.
is Monday,
Yeah.
and the robot is processing all the 100 items, right?
Okay.
Added
Yeah.
everything to the queue. Sorry,
Yeah.
not queue. So it has read the
Data.
Excel 100 items, processing one by one, right?
Yes.
After 25 items, your
Okay.
automation, or let's say the SAP, stopped responding.
Okay.
Okay, the SAP completely stopped responding. It's not working at all. Let's say there's some
Yeah.
critical system exception and SAP does not work at all, right? Now, what would
Okay.
happen? The 26th item will come, it will fail. 27 will come, it will fail. 28th will come, and it will fail,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Now, you stop the process, right? Saying
Okay.
that
Yes.
you stop the process, right? That there is no point because the SAP is not working. So the
Yeah.
status of your Excel is 25 items are already processed, which are successful, right?
Yeah.
26th failed, 27th failed, 28th failed. Now, if I
Okay.
go and rerun this automation,
Yeah.
right, from the scratch,
Yes.
so what would
Yes.
happen? The 25 items which are already successful are still in the Excel.
Yes. Yes.
So the robot will again process them.
No, no, no. So
Okay.
we created the process in such a way.
Mm-hmm.
Suppose if the since like every transaction is creating a delivery order, right?
Hmm.
So we were like assigning a value to to that particular row.
Hmm.
Suppose if
Hmm.
for row one,
Hmm.
a delivery order has been created, then in like DO column, right?
Hmm.
It will mention that particular delivery order number and it will move on to the next row. So like that, it will keep moving on. So whenever like the bot runs from, like, suppose we start from a fresh, right?
Hmm.
Suppose we stop the bot has been stopped and we restart it again. So what will happen if first in the starting, what it will do, it will check that particular column when it is accessing that Excel
Hmm.
file.
Hmm.
So it will check that particular column and then it will like if it is empty, only then it will process. If it is not empty,
Hmm.
if DO number is mentioned or any value,
Hmm.
even if it is an string, right, a
Hmm.
space is there,
Hmm.
it will keep skipping that particular keep skipping the row and it will go on to the like the row which is empty. So we designed it like that.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
okay, I understand that you are reading only, you filter it and you just read that, right? Now, let's say what happens in case of an exception, right? So, let's say row number 26, you have an exception. Now,
Okay.
I want to retry that.
Okay. So
It's a system exception, let's say, right? So, how does the
yes.
retry work?
So retry, we have a retry mechanism already in place in RE framework, right? So
Mm-hmm.
suppose any particular transaction fails, right?
Mm-hmm.
For any issue, so we designed it like that, even if it is a business exception, try it once again.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I know that sounds like
Mm-hmm.
in business exception because data comes from that side. So we
Okay.
don't want to retry that because already, yeah, but we designed it only once only, like to retry that might have entered a wrong value by mistake or something like that. Because since it is a UI based element, might have
Mm-hmm.
happened. So and we were using scripts for like SAP scripts for automating SAP, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's why we were doing that. And then if system exception is there, try it like restart all the things again
Mm-hmm.
and continue from, obviously it will keep skipping and it will come to the 26th row and it will start from 26 again. So it will restart all the applications and it will
Mm-hmm.
start from the 26th row. So that's how it was designed.
Okay, understood.
Yeah.
And okay, so that answers my process related queries now. Which version of your Apache Studio are you using to code this automation?
So we were using 2022.10.
2022.10 modern or the classic experience?
We were using classic.
Okay.
Modern, we since like I personally worked on classic so much
Mm-hmm.
before, so
Mm-hmm.
I was really not comfortable to switch between because might have come with the issue and deadlines were there. So instead of getting familiar with the new thing, I went with the old, which I was very comfortable with. So I
Hmm.
used the classic version there.
Can you tell me the difference between classic and modern? At least
Yes.
give me two
Yes.
differences.
Okay, so classic version is
Hmm.
older version. I think it is before 2021.10,
Okay.
uh, and the modern version is introduced, in which we are using Excel plugins to directly access the Excel file and make the changes directly in the Excel file. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how we are using the modern one. And then the other difference is, I think. The modern version is faster as compared to classic version.
Okay. So once, let's say, you have successfully completed this automation, right? Now I
Yes.
want to give this to the testing team. Okay, so I believe you are from the development and then you have a testing team, right? So before I
Yes.
give it to the testing team, right, what data are you providing to the testing team to test, right? So definitely something is I would provide the code, right? So let's say, hey, this is the
Yes.
code I have deployed, this is the version, right? Apart
Okay.
from that
Yeah.
code, what are the other things we as a developer need to help the tester, to do the testing properly? One thing is definitely
Okay.
the code, right? What else we provide?
Yes, yes. First of all, obviously the code. Then, with that code particularly, we will need to give them the documents, PDDs, SDDs, whatever we have created with that particular, and the BRD, if you have created. BRD basically is business requirement document, so it contains, like, the manual steps,
Hmm,
or from the client side or from your side only. If you have done the manual steps, obviously we need to follow the manual steps. So BRD is, like, basic requirement. It doesn't contain that much description, only the basic steps which have been followed for, like, manual process.
hmm,
So that so these things need to be provided. And then, like, while doing the testing, so we need to provide the either the dummy data or the data which can be used as, the processing part. So these
hmm.
things need to be provided. And then obviously a particular KT need to be provided to the supporting team, because they might need to make changes in upcoming future. So you need to provide them KT regarding the code and the process. So these
Okay.
are all the things that you need to give to the testing
Hmm.
team. Yeah.
Okay, so for example, uh,
Yes.
Aryan is doing an automation. Okay.
Okay.
Now the automation is completed. Now the company says that, hey, we have to pick the next automation. Okay. I give
Okay.
you five automation: one, two, three, four, five. Process one, process two, process three, process
Yeah.
four, and process five. Right.
Yes.
What would be your criteria of selecting the process which is the best candidate for automation?
Okay, so best candidate for automation would be which is very, like, streamlined process, kind of,
Hmm,
like, it doesn't deviate from the process that much. Like, even if there are some changes, it
mhm.
won't change the process overall. So, like,
Okay.
if it is a type of loop, it will contain the data might migrate in the loop only.
Hmm,
So it should not be that much variable from where it is started, right? Suppose it shouldn't change every day, like, okay,
hmm.
today we are doing that, this is step, to tomorrow we are doing that step. So it shouldn't happen like that.
Okay.
Then it should be rule based, obviously.
Mhm,
And then it should be repetitive.
mhm,
Repetitive tasks should be there. Values
hmm,
might change. We can use, variables for that, so,
hmm.
like, migrate for the data. Then I think these are the main basic things that we need to check, like, if it is possible. And then, yeah, one thing more, when you are, like, automating, suppose you are
Hmm,
automating and it is taking much more time as compared to manual process. Suppose someone is doing that particular manual process and it is taking more than the double or triple time when you're automating it. So it's good that it would be, like, then the cost will be raised and everything. So you need to consider that possibility also
Okay.
from developing perspective.
Okay, understood. So I have one question for you, right? So let's say I have to
Yes.
write an automation. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
The automation requirement is I should trigger a robot as soon as the email arrive in my mailbox.
Okay.
Okay. So I don't know,
Yeah.
right? The business can write me an email in the 9 a.m. or let's say the
Yeah.
business can write me an email at the 10 a.m. in the morning. So my only
Yeah.
requirement is I have, as soon as I get an email which says that, hey,
Yeah.
reset my password, right? Let's take an example, password reset. So I need
Okay.
to just reset, run a robot, right? So how can I design such solution?
Okay.
Understood the
So
requirement?
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Understood the requirement. Uh, Actually, I haven't done it, and
Hmm.
I don't know actually the answer. To be completely honest,
Mm-hmm.
I think there is a trigger. I'm not sure,
Mm-hmm.
but I won't answer anything because I don't know. So
Okay,
yeah.
let's not talk about the triggers, right? Okay, let's say I
Okay.
am not, I don't have that option of triggers, right? So as a
Okay.
developer, if I, you have to build it, right? So how you can
Yes.
build it?
Okay.
Okay, so you have the
So
code which is reading the auto files, right? So
yes.
how can we schedule this? What comes to your mind,
Okay.
right? If I have to build such
Okay,
automations.
so we can
Hmm.
schedule it in such a way that,
Mm-hmm.
okay, that suppose a particular process you have created. So I'll go in a roundabout way. I
Mm-hmm.
think off the top of my head I can come up with the solution. So you
Mm-hmm.
can create a workflow and you can create a loop, right, in that particular. and it should it can loop, or suppose you are not working with triggers, you can create a loop.
Mm-hmm.
And suppose the loop is working infinitely, right? Just
Okay.
saying,
Mm-hmm.
suppose the loop is working infinitely, and there is a if condition in that particular loop. uh, so if that particular loop finds an email, so that if condition changes its trajectory to the the process side.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we can do that. But I would suggest it because infinite loops are not a good best practices. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Now
Or
let
if
me
you are
tell you.
using trigger, if you
Uh,
are using triggers, you
uh,
can schedule it like per per
mm,
5 minutes, per 10 minutes, or per 1 hour, so
mm-hmm.
that it runs that way. If it finds a mail that with that particular filter value, then it should the it should process the create work on that particular process. So it should be like, it can be created like that with that trigger.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a different question. Okay. So
Okay.
I am writing an automation. Okay.
Yeah.
And I have to process this Excel, right? Let's say this Excel, right? So when you read an Excel, you get a data table, right?
Okay.
So I am
Yeah.
writing this automation, and uh, the business says that, hey, I cannot provide you storage.
Okay.
Okay. The requirement is
Yeah.
that you have to read the data from an database, right? Let's say you told database automation, right? So you have to
Yeah.
read the
Yeah.
data from a database, and then you
Yes.
have to process it, right?
Okay.
But the
Yeah.
challenge is you do not have the storage. You cannot store the data in some place, anywhere,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you also want to store the data because to do some
Okay.
data manipulation, right? So but the business
Yes.
says that, hey, I cannot provide robot the access to the C drive, D drive, E drive, right? But you have to
Yeah.
intermittently save the data. How can
Okay.
I do, right? Does UiPath has something like which can help you to store this kind of
Yeah,
use
we can.
cases?
Yeah, we can save it in the queues, right? So if you are extracting data from the data table, sorry,
Hmm.
database, we can save it. If you want to save it temporarily, you can save it in the queues. Uh,
Yeah,
that will work fine.
but
Yes.
as soon as the status changes, right, I won't be able to get the data again, right?
Yes. Okay.
So
Um,
if the status changes, right, the status will change, then it will change, right? But if I have to know,
yeah.
let's say how many items are added, right? So think it like
Yeah.
that you are writing all the data in an Excel, but the
Okay.
business says that, hey, I cannot provide you storage to store this Excel, right? So have
Okay.
you heard of, okay, let me give you a suggestion,
I
right?
storage buckets, right?
Data services.
Okay, data service. No, I haven't worked with it. I mean, I have heard of it, but I
Mhm.
haven't worked with it. So I don't really know that much about data services till now. Not yet, actually.
Okay, got it. So I am done with my set of questions, right? Let's
Okay.
immediately
Yeah.
come to your feedback, right?
Okay.
So overall, your feedback is good, right? So
Yeah.
your introduction was good. You have given a proper explanation of the project. In one shot, I was able to understand what is your project, right? You have answered me question correctly on business exception, sending the emails, the version of studio, how do you handle the best part was you were able to answer me all the questions on the framework, and how do you manage the transactions, how do you manage exceptions, all of that you have answered me correctly, right? So no challenge there, right? So
Okay.
project related information absolutely good, but
Yeah.
now see your experience, right? Now you are how much experience? 6.5, right?
Yes.
I'll close to 7 years now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
now when you join a company, you are going to join as a senior developer, right?
Yes.
So as a senior developer, you are good into 2019, but what I could feel is that you are not in touch with what UiPath is going towards, right?
Yes.
Classic versus
Yes.
modern, you have answered me, but that's not a satisfactory answer, right? You yourself know,
Okay.
right, that classic versus
Okay.
modern, whatever you have told me,
Yes.
is not a correct answer, right? It has a lot of benefits. The simple benefit is it is using the unified targeting method technology. In classic, you have to use click activity, then image exist, then anchor, and then all of
Yes.
that
Yes.
is
Object
together
repository and
object
everything
robots,
in
right? So
modern. Yes.
those are the main benefits, right? You cannot just say that it is fast, it is slow, right? And it is old and it
Okay.
is new, right? So
Okay.
that question, so that was just to know that, hey, how much you are aware of the UiPath latest technologies, right? And that
Okay.
yeah,
Uh,
the
yes. Yes. I understand. Yes.
the question on the data services, right? I was not expecting a correct answer from you, but at least you should be aware that what exactly this thing is, right? You might not have worked
Yes.
because, see,
Yes.
for me, if I have to hire you, right?
Okay.
And my company or my client, I don't know, right? My client would be in 23.10,
Yeah.
right? So I cannot simply, you cannot just simply say that, hey, I never got a chance, right? Because
Yes.
UiPath is ever evolving, right? So you should know that what exactly it is happening, right? The same
Yes.
thing happen when you talk about that scenario based question on the email, right? So the
Yes.
answer to that question is there could be two ways, right? One way is that I write a robot, I schedule that robot every 5 minutes, it keep checking the inbox. If the mail is found, okay, well and good.
Yes.
Not found, ignore,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
The correct solution for that scenario is something which is called UiPath integration services,
Okay.
right? So
Yes.
UiPath is adding these technologies, right? So that
Yes.
developers can address the scenarios which were not possible before, right?
Okay.
Now, let's say I have to take you to a client or a customer, right? And have to propose solutions,
Okay.
right? There, now you
Yeah.
at the next stage, right? When you are a developer,
Yeah.
somebody does that thing for you and they tell you that, hey, now go and use data service, now go and use document understanding, right? But as your
Yes.
experience is growing, you should also be aware of creating the solution. And I think that part is not strong,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
You're very strong, whatever you have done, that's
Yeah.
fine, right? But exploration side of it, it's not there, right? So
Okay.
the feedback for you would be you are good in what you are doing, but you need to step up and look your role as a lead now, right? Or a senior developer,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
You need to be
Yes.
aware of the latest technologies, including the modern
Okay.
folder, integration services, apps, DU, all these,
All right.
right? I'm not
Yeah.
saying that you need to be a pro in everything. You can't be, right? But at least you should know
Yes.
what problem it is solving, right? Why do I have
Yes.
UiPath apps? Why do I have
Okay.
document services, right? Why do I have
Okay.
integration services? What is Studio Web doing, right?
Okay.
So you
Yes.
cannot just simply sit and say that, okay, when the project will come, then I'll work, right? It won't happen
Okay.
because if I
Yes.
have to hire you, I need to make sure that yes, at least you are aware of those technologies,
Yeah.
right? So
Yes.
that would be my feedback. Apart from that, your interview was all good, right? Now I'll take a pause
Okay.
if you have any questions for me.
Uh, Thanks. Actually, not any questions. I love the feedback actually, because I was already preparing for the few things
Hmm,
you have mentioned. But
hmm,
since like I don't have that much knowledge, I have started working on UiPath. Uh, Honestly, to be honest, I
hmm,
have started working on UiPath apps right
hmm,
now.
hmm,
So I'm working with like I have worked with like 2 3 workflows. I think from your videos only.
hmm,
So I've started working on those, like getting the basic understanding. Then obviously you have pointed me out, like integration services, data service. So
hmm.
obviously I'll work on that. I'll get because the thing is, yeah, I have been out of touch for these things. There is a
Yes.
reason, but I won't mention it. It's an
Yeah.
excuse. I don't
Yeah.
want to give an excuse.
No, no,
Right.
that's fine, right? So,
Yes.
you need to be in touch, right? And also, at
Yes.
least add one certificate, right? At your experience, you
Yeah.
can also go for the solution architect or the senior developer, right? Now, the junior associate won't make sense for you, right?
Yeah.
So,
Professional developer.
yeah,
I
ADP,
think
right?
that will be.
You can go
Yes.
for ADP or you can also prepare for the solution architect, right? But solution
Okay.
architect, as you're not uh, able to see this scenario based question, right? So it might take some time. At least do the ADP because that definitely adds, and the syllabus of ADP is huge. So, anyways, you have to prepare for all the topics
Yeah.
again, right?
Already preparing for it.
Okay,
So
okay,
I can
great,
understand. Yes.
great, right? So, I think this would be my feedback, and
Okay. Okay.
that's it, right? How was your experience? Do you think it was helpful?
Actually really helpful. So I mean, I got to know like where I'm lacking right now. I mean, I know that, obviously if someone has worked on something, he might be understanding that better, obviously. But now I understand, like what I'm lacking towards, so what I need to aim towards after this. So I think that will be like a focused approach. It will focus me more towards whatever the end goal is. So that in that context, I think it was really helpful for me, and I think it will be like helping me out in my skill set and everything also.
Okay, great. So with that, we can wrap this. Thank you for joining. And if you have anything, you have my email and you have my phone number also in the signature. Feel free to reach out. Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you,
great.
Mukesh.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for having me. Have a wonderful evening.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so that is all for this video. I would like to wrap this video here. I hope this was insightful. If you have any more questions, any more doubts, feel free to write me in the comments, or you can also drop me an email as well. I would appreciate your feedback on the video, and tell me in the comments what would be the next topic or next video you want to see. So with that, I would wrap this video here. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please do subscribe to the channel, and happy automation.